What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Stout Out Show, your one-stop shop for all things MMA bets, breakdowns, and predictions. On deck for today's show, we have UFC 330 taking place this Saturday, August 15th in the city of brotherly love, aka Philadelphia. In the main event, we have a welterweight title championship where Islam Makhachev will be defending his belt against Ian Machado Garry. In the co-main, we got Mackenzie Dern defending her strawweight title against Gillian Robertson. Two solid fights, but before we get into that, we're going to be breaking every single fight down, all the way from the prelims to the main card. So if you like what you're seeing, like what you're hearing, please like, comment, and subscribe. Love to hear from you. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, our first fight of the night is going to be in the welterweight division. We have Myktybek Orolbai taking on Jeremiah Wells. Orolbai is your minus 900 favorite, while Jeremiah Wells is your plus 600 dog. This is going to be your biggest odds-on favorite of the night. This is also going to be the Stout Out lock of the night as well. We're saying Orolbai all the way, but let's get right into it. Orolbai, he's 5-1 in the UFC, just coming off unanimous decision win against Chris Curtis. That happened back in March. He's riding a 3-fight win streak, and he's never been finished, right? Guys, if those who've never seen Orolbai fight or just, kind of put him on the back burner, he's got relentless chain wrestling ability, right? I mean, he's going to get you up against the fence, and he's going to take you down time and time again. He broke the welterweight record for most takedowns in a fight when he fought Chris Curtis, right? I mean, he's averaging around 8 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's like sitting at a 60% clip for taking you down. So 6 out of 10 times, he's getting you to the ground. Also, he's got pretty good top control and submission threats once he gets you to the ground. Against Tafik Musayev, he got that first round Kimura, which was really nice, showing what he can do on the ground in terms of, hey, position over submission. I'm not just going to try to lay and prey on you. I'm trying to get it done and get you out of there, okay? In the regional scene prior to coming into the UFC, he's also got that deceptive overhand knockout power, which I really like. I mean, his striking is nowhere near like the most in the elite of the welterweight division, but he can definitely, if he finds your chin, he can put you out. There's no question about that. But speaking of striking, I mean, that's the other side of the coin when we're talking about Myktybek Orolbai. In the Chris Curtis fight, guys, he only landed 20 significant strikes in the whole 15-minute fight. I mean, he was taking Curtis down again and again, but it wasn't really doing any damage. I mean, that's why Chris Curtis was so frustrated after the loss. I mean, obviously he was frustrated because he lost, but I mean, he's just like, dude, there's nothing I could do. I couldn't get off the ground. And he didn't really look the worse for wear either. Speaking of striking, though, he does have some vulnerabilities there. When he goes in for the takedown, he can leave himself open to get countered. He does take about 2 significant strikes per fight. Also, he's looking at a 51% clip for the defensive rate. So, I mean, he can get hit on the chin. He hasn't been finished as of yet, but I mean, he can definitely get touched. And, again, while his wrestling is his bread and butter, you also got to look at his takedown defense. And he's only really sitting at a 40% takedown defense. So if you're an elite wrestler or you can get him to the ground, it's not that hard. I mean, he doesn't really have the elite takedown defenses like some of the other guys in the division. Jeremiah Wells, on the other hand, all right, he's 5-2 in the UFC. He's coming off a pretty good unanimous decision win against Themba Gorambo. The big thing with Wells, he's never been knocked out or TKO'd, and he's coming out of that Philly training camp with who? Pat Sabatino, he's a black belt under Daniel Gracie, but he's coming out against with Andre Petrorsky, Pat Sabatini, and Sean Brady. So, I mean, it's a hometown fight for him. Hopefully, we would love to see some other hometown Philly guys kind of get in there, but it is what it is. But anyway, he's got elite black belt BJJ credentials. Definitely knows what he's doing when he gets on the ground. And again, he's got, iron sharpens iron. If you're training with Sean Brady, who's got just a wizard of a ground game. I mean, that guy's ground game is on another level. I mean, he's seen everything that these people are going to throw at him, But again, and for a guy that, for his size, he's got some real fight-ending ability. I know he's only 5'9", but he hits like a fucking truck, though. I think in his UFC debut, he ended the fight in 30 seconds, a 30-second knockout. The big thing against him, though, is, he's 39 years old, so he's getting closer to the end zone. And, he uses that explosive power really early in the fight. So, I mean, later in the rounds, his cardio kind of diminishes. So, I mean, he's fast out of the gate, but if Orolbai drags him into deep water, he's in some really big trouble. Also, as far as defensively in terms of grappling, elite guys can really suffocate him. While the offensive wrestling and his top control are robust, historically, again, if he gets his on his back, he really has a hard time getting onto his feet. So I'm going to say Orolbai. I'm going with Vegas on this one, minus 900. I'm going to say he gets it done by submission. So Myktybek, Orolbai. I'm going to say early round 2 submission. All right, next fight up, continuing in the welterweight division, we got a kind of a toss-up. We got Magny taking on Ramiz Brahimaj. All right, Magny is a minus 108, while Brahimaj is a minus 112. So kind of a coin flip, but we'll tell you how we're feeling after this. So Magny, he's 24-13 in the UFC. I mean, he is a UFC vet / legend. I mean, he's been in the game for a minute, right? Fortunately, he's coming off of a TKO loss against Yaroslav Amosov that happened in December of 2025. All right, here's what I like about Magny, right? He's got elite volume, output, and durability. Across 45 professional fights, 17 out of his 31 wins have come by way of decision, okay? There's not too much you can throw at him that he hasn't seen. Plus, he's got proven cardio to go all 3 rounds. And every once in a blue moon, man, he pulls one out of the hat against one of these up-and-comer guys and just, I don't know how he does it, but he gets the win, right? What I do also like about him, he's got masterful clinch work and really good wall and stall game. And by that, I mean he works his 6'3" frame against the fighters up against the cage, and he's really good at using that phone booth / dirty boxing, really utilizing his uppercuts really well and just really not giving his opponents room to breathe. Good use of his knees, really good short knee game, and just, his opponents just drain their energy against the fence. Again, what I just said is his reach is a really good advantage. He's 6'3", he's got an 80-inch reach. I mean, he's one of the longer guys in the welterweight division. He's really good at using his teeps. He keeps his opponents at the end of his reach via his jab, and he uses his tools pretty effectively to keep his opponents at range, right? The downside about my boy Magny is, again, he's getting a little older in the tooth, getting close to the end zone. So, his reflexes might not be there. His chin might not be as well as it was in his prime. Really strong vulnerability to leg kicks. If you guys watch his fights against Ian Machado, Garry, or against Lorenz Larkin, they just beat the shit out of his lead leg. I mean, he kind of left it out there. I mean, really had no answer for that. Just got his lead leg just eaten up. He can be submitted. He's definitely shown some vulnerability to guys who are really, really strong and like BJJ specialists. I mean, his defensive wrestling is okay. He's got a 55% takedown defense, but again, elite guys, they can definitely find a way to tap him out. And then, like I said, even though he's got good durability and good volume, he definitely lacks one-punch KO power, guys. I mean, he's a volume striker. He's not, a one-hitter quitter by any means, but again, he's going to find a way to win if he has to. Ramiz Brahimaj, he's 5-4 in the UFC. He's coming off unanimous decision loss to Puna Soriano. That happened in February. Dude, Puna Soriano is for real. I mean, he beat Uros Medic. I mean, and not even beat, he knocked the fuck out of Uros Medic. So, I mean, Brahimaj is a BJJ wizard, right? He's never been submitted, and he's got an elite grappling pedigree. And by that, I mean he's IBJJF, no-gi world champion. He's also got a 100% finish rate. He's got 12 submission victories and only 1 knockout win. And, the knockout win was against Mickey Gall, who was not known for his stand-up either, but still, he looked really good against Mickey Gall. He's kind of shorter for the welterweight division. Like I said, Magny's 6'3", Brahimaj is 5'10". He's only got a 72-inch reach. So that's going to really be fighting against him. Obviously he's going to be looking to get, close the distance to kind of take Magny down, but he's going to really have to fight off that jab to get it done. The recent, blueprint to get it done was kind of shown in the Puna Soriano fight. If he cannot take you down, Brahimaj, there's a real problem, right? I mean, he definitely, that's his bread and butter. But he was eating strikes from Puna Soriano. I mean, he didn't get put out, but again, it looked like he had no plan B. He did not have an answer if he could not take you to the ground, okay? And the last thing is, on the downside, is kind of that cardio and that, adverse pacing gap. Magny can go all 3 rounds, no doubt. Again, guys had, 45 professional fights? Brahimaj, on the other hand, he's got that little short explosive power, but if it gets into deep waters, his cardio definitely fades. He looks tired in the latter half of the fight. So, he's got to fix that, obviously. But I'm going to say Brahimaj is enough of a BJJ wizard to get it done in this one. I think he's going to submit Magny. I definitely think he's going to do it probably in the second round. So I'm going to say Brahimaj by submission in the second round. All right, our next fight is in the light heavyweight division. We have Lucas Fernando taking on Rafael Tobias. Fernando is your minus 300 favorite, while Tobias is your plus 240 dog. We're going to see the UFC debut of Lucas Fernando. He's riding a 4-fight win streak, and he's never been submitted. Guys, if those who don't familiar with Lucas Fernando, he was part of the Brazilian national kickboxing team. I mean, so he's really rooted in striking and got a really good technical striking base. And when he delivers these body shots, I mean, he folds his opponents up like a fucking lawn chair. I mean, he's got just this nasty signature habit of just delivering these midsection shots that are just killer, right? I mean, he's going, head, body, and you are folding. I mean, he's really devastating kicks. Like I said, national kickboxing team, so he definitely knows how to handle himself on the feet. And he's prior to going to the UFC, he was a 2-division champion in the LFA. He was a middleweight champion, and now obviously moving to the light heavyweights. Was a champion over there as well. Kind of still relatively new to the light heavyweight division. He just got here around right after 2025, so he's still looking to add a little bit of weight to his frame. So, kind of still, he's not the heaviest guy in the world, but again, maybe a little bit faster than he is bigger. Kind of has that striker's only comfort zone. Like I said, he was on the Dana White Contender Series, but he did lose. He came up short against Cesar Almeida via decision. So by striker's only comfort zone, I mean, again, he's still got a lot of work to do when it comes to the ground game and takedown defense. I mean, Cesar Almeida just pretty much took him down at ease. He had a real hard time getting to his feet and just kind of got dominated for 3 rounds. But again, for people that like to stick in the pocket with him, good luck. Rafael Tobias, on the other hand, he's 0-1 in the UFC. He's coming off unanimous decision loss to Dior Nagazi. Tobias, he's never been submitted before. Really pretty good acumen on the ground game. He's got some really good first-round finishes. I think he's got 9 first-round finishes under his belt. 5 were by knockout, and the other a couple by submissions, including some rear naked chokes and really good 2 arm triangles. I mean, if he gets you to the ground, I mean, you're some serious shit, right? He possesses 6 submission career wins across his resume. So again, getting you to the ground is going to be his number 1 go-to. And he's got really good takedown defense. I think he's really high, 80-90% takedown defense. I mean, it's really hard to get him to the ground. I mean, that's his bread and butter, right? The big thing with Tobias is his striking defense is there's a lot lack there, right? I mean, he gets hit a lot. 5.8 significant strikes absorbed, and he's got a 35% striking defense. Those numbers definitely, strikes absorbed need to be reduced, and striking defense needs to be, increased. I mean, against a guy like Lucas Fernando, that is not where you want to be. I mean, you want to get him to the ground and fast, because if you don't, it is going to be a long night. And listen, Tobias is not afraid to stand in the pocket with anybody, right? I mean, he's got that chaotic approach, and it's kind of, it could be his undoing. It's going to leave him, open for counter shots, but he'll stand and trade with anybody. That's kind of what I like about him too. And he throws with such fucking power too. But the big thing, the hard thing to watch about him is, even though he's a heavy hitter, his accuracy sits at 35%. So I mean, he's swinging for the fences, but he's not hitting much, right? I'm going to say Lucas Fernando is going to get it done. I'm actually going to say this one ends in the first round. So Lucas Fernando, round 1 TKO. Our next fight is going to be in the middleweight division. We have Vicente Luque taking on Tresean Gore. Vicente Luque is your plus 110 underdog, while Tresean Gore is your minus 130 favorite. Vicente Luque is moving up from the welterweight division on this one to fight up at middleweight, so we're going to see how he does on Saturday. Luque is sitting at 17-8 in the UFC, coming off a pretty solid submission win against Kevin Gastelum. What I like about Vicente Luque is he's got that elite counter-striking and that pocket boxing. I mean, he's got that bone-chilling counter check left hook that if you find yourself at the end of that thing, you are going to sleep. I mean, he loves and lives for people that are overextend on their striking so he can, just take you apart. He's got 11 KOs to his resume, so he definitely has some hands to put you to sleep. He's also a dual black belt in both BJJ and Ludo Livre. Got his black belt on the same day. So, I mean, if that's not impressive, I don't know what is. For those unfamiliar with Lucha Livre, I mean, the best way for me to describe it is it's kind of like the Brazilian version of Russian Sambo. It's a mixture of, gi-based BJJ and, fundamentals and no-gi Brazilian, grappling. It's the best way I can describe it. What I also like about him is he's got the crucial level changes and low kicks. He's super efficient at mixing his targets. He's blasting heavy combinations to the body and the head, while just kind of just waiting for you to overextend on that lead leg and just punish you with these calf kicks, right? He's just trying to get his opponent's mobility to next to nothing. The big thing with Vicente Luque, though, is he has got that attitude of kill or be killed, and I'm going to die on my shield, right? I mean, he's got that high guard blocking system that occasionally he's going to let strikes get in, and they get in, quite a bit. I mean, he absorbs about 5 significant strikes per minute, and his defensive metric is sitting at a 51% clip. So more than half the time he's getting hit. I mean, that's just not guys who are elite strikers, they're going to find a way to knock him out, right? Prior to moving to middleweight, he was kind of inconsistent. His last 5 fights where he went 2-3, so he was, not really finding the love at welterweight. We'll see how he does at middleweight if he's going to put the size on. And he really struggles against guys who have relentless footwork and movement. And by that I mean, Vicente Luque's bread and butter is fighting in the phone booth and in that pocket, right? He doesn't like guys that just kind of do that like point fighting karate style system, like a Stephen Thompson or a Michael Page. Is just basically like move in, hit you with a couple leg kicks or combinations, and then move out. Vicente Luque really struggles with dudes who fight like that. Tresean Gore, on the other hand, he's 3-4 in the UFC. He's coming off of a submission win against Azamat Makhachev. Tresean Gore himself has never been submitted, but surprise, surprise. I mean, like I said, he got that sub win. His signature, his finishing move is going to be that guillotine choke. All 3 of his wins in the UFC have come by that guillotine choke. I mean, that is his finishing. That's his signature move, right? I mean, if you find yourself in that thing, you are going to sleep. And he's got such a fucking grip on that thing, right? He's got elite takedown metrics himself. He's built like a fucking brick shithouse. I mean, he's explosive, athletic, and if he wants to take you down, he's going to take you down. He's sitting at a 72% takedown accuracy, so the guy is definitely a fucking freak athlete, right? He does have some one-shot power. I mean, he definitely can, find your chin and put you out, but just hasn't done it in UFC as of late. My big thing with, with Gore, much like Vicente Luque is, dude, his striking defense is even worse than Luque's, right? He gets hit with 7 significant strikes per minute, and his defensive clip is sitting at 40%. So he's getting hit, even more than Vicente Luque is. And getting in a pocket for a phone booth fight with Vicente Luque with defensive metrics like that, I mean, dude, you're going to sleep, right? He's kind of low volume and got that inactive pacing. He only lands at 3 significant strikes per minute, so he's not really throwing a whole lot because he's really relying on that one-hitter quitter, those power punches. But again, and the last thing I would say is he's got that one-dimensional finishing profile. I mean, guys are looking for him to put him in the guillotine choke, right? I mean, if you're looking at tape, hey, that's what he's going to try to get me in. The big thing, I think Vicente Luque's got the BJJ acumen and the defensive awareness not to get put in that. I think he's a little bit too slick on the ground or even standing to do that. So I'm going to say Vicente Luque gets this one done. 2nd round TKO. All right, staying in the middleweight division, we have Eric McConico taking on Donte Johnson. Donte Johnson is your minus 225 favorite, while Eric McConico is your plus 185 dog. Johnson is 2-0 in the UFC. He's coming off a split decision win against Cody Brundage, and he's hoping to remain undefeated into this fight. All right, I know they show the highlight every single time when they talk about Donte Johnson, but I mean, he's got something that you cannot teach no matter how many MMA/striking/boxing coaches you have. I mean, he's got the one-hitter quitter power. I mean, he can knock the soul out of your body if he wants to. He fought Darian Abbey in the Dana White Contender Series and knocked him out in 64 seconds. And the most significant thing was that Donte Johnson fought up a weight class. So Darian Abbey was bigger than him, heavier than him. I mean, Donte Johnson, if he can find you at the end of his punch, you are going to sleep. What I also like about him is he's got multi-phase finishing ability. I mean, he's got wrestling in his toolkit, right? I mean, he's not going to just say, hey, if my striking doesn't get going, I got to go to wrestling. I mean, he uses those alternatively, and he does it pretty well. Against Cedric Dumas, he took him down, 3 or 4 times and looked really clean doing it. And then he finished the fight in the opening minute of the 2nd round with a solid guillotine choke. I mean, Donte Johnson, for what he lacks in striking, in terms of technical ability, I mean, he's really good, really good athlete. But, we can't talk about him without, addressing his flaws too. Again, he leaves his chin in the air a couple times. Cody Brundage, was able to find it with his jab. I mean, Donte Johnson going into that fight was a minus 900 favorite, and he just got away with the split decision win. Cody Brundage was in that fight the whole entire time. So, it's kind of concerning for me if Donte Johnson cannot get the finish, his performance and his cardio kind of drops off in those later rounds. And, some people have described his boxing as unorthodox and sloppy in terms of, His stance can be wide. He lacks technical discipline. His footwork isn't the greatest, but it's improving. And as far as like a defensive strike metrics, I think he's like sitting at a 48% clip. So he's getting hit more than half the time. But he's working on it. He's getting. Nobody knows where his ceiling is in terms of striking, and he's still undefeated. So it's not the worst people have ever seen. Eric McConico, on the other hand, he's 2-2 in the UFC. He's coming off a unanimous decision win to Rodolfo Vieira that happened back in April. And McConico he's not, like I said, he's never been submitted, and he's got really good high-level defensive grappling. Percentage-wise, he's sitting at a 68 takedown defense rate. Really good standout high school wrestler, and he's got a purple belt in BJJ. Rodolfo Vieira, he got him early in the first round, was able to take him down a couple times and rocked him, but freaking McConico was able to kind of regroup and rally and kept the fight standing the whole time, and he rode it to the finish line. I mean, that's where he thrives. Eric McConico's got elite durability and that cardio and grinding fights. I mean, once Rodolfo Vieira did not have an answer to take him to the ground, he didn't know what to do with the fight and just dominated the rest of the fight. Really good clinch work and dirty boxing. 23% of McConico's significant strikes come from that, position. And by that, I mean heavy hands, knees, those short punches right up against the fight. That's where he lives, The biggest thing for me in this fight, which stands out to me, is his chin durability. I mean, his kryptonite is power punchers. I mean, the last 2 of his 3 losses have been by TKO. I mean, and, they've happened kind of later in the fights, but he definitely can get knocked out. He lands of just an average of 2 significant strikes per minute. So his low volume and tentative output is not great. He's looking for that one-hitter quitter, kind of like Donte Johnson, but he doesn't have it yet. And then he starts super slow. Rodolfo Vieira fight is a prime example of that. Rodolfo Vieira rocked him in the first round. I mean, it just shows how tough McConico is. He was able to rally, but I mean, still, he was in trouble in that first round. Donte Johnson lives in the first round chaos. He wants you to, stand and strike with him in that first round, and I think he has the ability to do that in this fight. So I'm going to say Donte Johnson's going to get it done, KO, round 1. Next up in the lightweight division, we have Jalin Turner taking on Kauê Fernandes. Jalin Turner is your minus 162 favorite, while Kauê Fernandes is your plus 136 dog. Turner's 8-6 in the UFC. He's coming off a good TKO win against Edson Barbosa that happened back in December. Jalin Turner has elite range and control for this division. He's sitting at 6'3", with a 77-inch reach advantage, uses his body to his advantage really well. And by that I mean he keeps his opponents at distance, good use of his legs, good use of his jabs and teeps. I mean, he keeps people at bay via that control, you know what I mean? And they call him the Tarantula for a reason, right? I mean, I know he's known primarily for his striking, but when his opponents shoot for a takedown out of desperation, he uses his incredibly long limbs, to lock up rapid front-side submissions. And particularly, his go-to is the guillotine choke. I mean, he kind of comes out of nowhere with that. What I also like about him is his fast twitch power. I got to give Jalin Turner credit. He's way more athletic than people give him credit for, right? I mean, he has that rare ability to lurch forward and come from this relaxed stance, and then out of nowhere hits you with this just electric, accurate strike that just puts you down. He did it to Edson Barbosa. He did it to Bobby Green. I mean, he can definitely put you out if he gets his hands on you in terms of, touching your chin. His big thing is his late round cardio and, lack of output if the fight goes to the round 3. I mean, he is 0-3 when fights go to the judges. I mean, he just does not have the cardio or the output for these later round wars, okay? And the reason why I bet Edson Barbosa against him in his last fight was, again, Jalin Turner was coming off that year-long layoff where he said he was retired, his head wasn't in it anymore, and then, boom, he comes back and gets the win over Edson Barbosa. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Jalin Turner's win. He did look pretty good, but, again, Edson Barbosa, he's on this card too, obviously, but his glory days are far behind him, right? I mean, he's getting really, really close to the end zone, but that's for the later card breakdown. Again, in terms of Jalin Turner, of his striking vulnerabilities, he absorbs about 4 significant strikes, and, he has a defensive rate of, 41%, so he's definitely getting hit more than he gives out. So he can definitely get touched, but, again, I don't understand why he's the favorite in this one. That kind of confused me. Fernandes he's 3-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a TKO win against Harry Hardwick. He's never been finished. He's riding that 3-fight win streak. I mean, Kauê Fernandes, his striking is, in my opinion, on another level than Jalin Turner's, right? He's got devastating leg and calf kicks. I mean, those are his most potent weapons, right? It's these brutal chopping leg kicks that are delivered to his opponent's lead leg. I mean, that is going to change the freaking trajectory of the fight. And that's pretty much, I mean, that you can see that in his Harry Hardwick fight, right? He's really awkward and difficult to read. And by that, I mean, he keeps his hands real low when he fights. He mixes those sneaky over-the-shoulder head kicks. His punches kind of come out of nowhere. And by that, he's got that, like I said, it's really wide hooks. It's really difficult to see where his offense is coming from. In terms of defensive metrics, he's got an elite 62 defensive rate, so very hard to hit. And he only absorbs about one significant strike per minute. So, again, it's kind of mind-boggling where the odds came out of. The big thing is with him, unlike Jalin Turner, I said Jalin Turner's 6'3", Kauê Fernandes is 5'9" with only a 73-inch reach advantage. So he is definitely, going to try to get this fight to close the distance and come inside. But, I think he can do it. I don't think he's going to have as hard a time as Vegas makes it out to be. Doesn't really look to get you down to the ground, really not looking for an active submission game. Not that he doesn't have one, but, he knows where he makes his money, and that's to be on the feet. And, kind of like Jalin Turner, his cardio kind of drops off in the later rounds in terms of his volume output. But I like Kauê Fernandes to get the W here. I mean, this is the Stout Out dog of the night. So Kauê Fernandes, I'm going to say TKO round 2. All right, we've reached our featured prelim fight of the night, and that's going to be in the welterweight division. We have Joel Alvarez taking on Chidi Njokuani. Alvarez is going to be your minus 260 favorite, while Njokuani is going to be your plus 210 underdog. Alvarez is 8-3 in the UFC. He's coming off of a sub-loss against Yaroslav Amosov in May. People who want to enter into the pocket in exchange with Joel Alvarez have another thing coming, right? He's got devastating Muay Thai clinch and really good elbows. I mean, his Muay Thai clinch is almost suffocating in the fact that once he locks it up, it's really hard to get out of. He finished Thiago Moises like that. He finished out Mark DeConce like that. I mean, he is just dropping these elbows like Randy Savage from the top rope and just ending you, right? Not to mention what I really kind of was impressive is the way that he checks these low leg kicks that are coming from his opponents. I mean, he kind of reminds me of Alex Pereira in that way, man. I mean, these dudes just whip it at him, and he doesn't even flinch, dude. I mean, it's pretty impressive. Also, kind of a sneaky part of his game is that lethal front headlock submission game he has. If opponents kind of get lazy or they leave their head out there when they try to take him down, he will lock that shit up with the quickness, okay? Really good guillotine chokes and really good Doris chokes as well. Good size and length for the welterweight division. I don't think that's going to play too much of a part in this fight because Njokuani's, I think, he's an inch taller than Alvarez, so not the biggest deal in the world. I mean, he's good at shorter opponents, keeping them at distance, keeping them at the end of his jabs or of his teeps, but again, I don't think that's going to play too much a part here. But Alvarez's striking defense is the red flag for me, right? He's got sitting at a 49% clip where he's getting hit more than half the time. His head movement's almost non-existent. I mean, he kind of relies mainly on his chin than he does, if anything, and then his durability. He just does not, like, hey, listen, hit me. I can take it. I can keep going forward. It hasn't always worked out for him in the past. He does have a first-round knockout on his record, so, also susceptibility to elite wrestling control. Against Arman Sarukian, he took him down at will. Yaroslav Amosov took him down and submitted him with the quickness. I mean, he carries a super low takedown defense. It's sitting right around like the 11% range, okay? Suffocating top-heavy wrestlers, he has a really, really hard time getting on his feet with. Also, his career is kind of marked with inconsistency and, he's missed weight, his visa issues. So, I mean, he's kind of like, it's very inconsistent record in terms of getting in there and long layoffs, right? Njokuani, on the other hand, he's 5-4 in the UFC. He's coming off unanimous decision loss at Carlos Leal. That happened in February. And he's riding a 2-fight losing streak right now. I mean, I know he's got that legitimate knockout power. 15 out of his 25 wins have come by knockout. I mean, he's got some really good highlight wins via knockout. He knocked out who? Again, Marc-Andre Barriault in 16 seconds. He definitely possesses the one-hitter quitter. He's a little taller than Joel Alvarez. He's got that inch reach, but, he's an inch taller, and he's got 3 more inches of reach more than Alvarez. But, again, I don't really think that's going to play too big of a part. Kind of underrated grappling potentials, right? He holds a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and, he's not just primarily a kickboxer. He can hold his own if he gets taken to the ground. He has been submitted 4 times in his career, though. So if you're an elite guy in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game, you can find a way to tap Njokuani. His pacing and his cardio definitely reduce in the later rounds. You know, he comes out of the gate in the first 5 to 7 minutes of the fight. I mean, he is going for your soul. He's coming out with super powerful strikes, and he's swinging for the fences. The big thing is if he's not connecting with them in the later rounds, he's fading. I'm going to go with Joe Alvarez to get this done. I'm going to say he's going to get him second round submission in this second round submission. And we have arrived at the main card. Kicking things off is going to be Esteban Ribovix taking on Edson Barbosa. Ribovix is your minus 520 favorite, while Barbosa is your plus 390 dog. Ribovix is 5-3 in the UFC. He's coming off of a submission loss to Mateusz Gamrot that happened back in April. Big thing about Ribovix, he's never been TKO'd or KO'd. Anybody who's watched him knows he has elite striking volume. And by that, I mean he averages about 7 significant strikes per minute. I mean, he is coming at you with a fucking vengeance. Really good striking combinations in terms of boxing. Cuts off the cage pretty effectively, and he loves to keep his opponents on the back foot. Good elite knockout power and finishing instincts. Okay, 7 out of his 15 wins have come by KO or TKO, and another 5 by submission. So he's finishing fights at roughly like an 80% clip. Good highlight reel knockout of Terrence McKinney, knocked him out in 37 seconds. And kind of has a good underrated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and scrambling game. I mean, like I said, I know he's really known for his elite striking game, but if you get lazy or if he finds himself on the ground and like in an advantageous position, he can lock you up in a pretty solid submission. I mean, he's got 5 under his belt, right? The biggest thing is he is not, I mean, I would say in terms of grappling, there's elite level grapplers and then there's grapplers, and he is not at that elite level. And we just saw that against Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot subbed him. I mean, he's just not at that level. The big thing against Ribovix, though, also is he's got very high striking damage absorption. And by that, I mean he is all action, all breaks, no gas. He absorbs about, 5 significant strikes per minute. I mean, with a striking defense at around 54%. So, I mean, he loves to die on his shield, but he's never been TKO'd or KO'd. So, I mean, he's doing something right. He's got a good durable chin. He's kind of has that over willingness to engage in brawls. He's not tactically sound in that aspect. He's not going to make adjustments mid-fight. I mean, if he wants to do the Max Holloway point to the ground, me versus you, we are definitely going to do that. I mean, I would say that would pay an advantage to Edson Barbosa in Edson Barbosa's prime. I would not do that against Edson Barbosa, especially with his leg kicks and his striking. But I mean, Edson Barbosa, he's 14-9 in the UFC. We just saw him have a KO loss to Jalin Turner. That happened in April as well. And he's riding a 3-fight losing streak. I mean, Edson Barbosa is getting very close to the end zone. He's toward the end of his career. Glory days are kind of behind him. I thought he really had a shot against Jalin Turner just because Jalin Turner took such a long layoff, but that just wasn't the fact. I mean, everybody knows Edson Barbosa. He's got the best kicking game in MMA history, right? I mean, there's not a time when he's not on a UFC card that Joe Rogan's not calling, and Joe Rogan doesn't just make that remark about how it's the most vicious leg kicks I've ever seen. I mean, they are, dude. I mean, he will make spaghetti out of your legs, okay? He's got stellar takedown defense. It's around 73%, so it's really hard to take him down. I mean, he can be taken down by the elite of the elite. I mean, we saw that against Khabib. But, good counter-striking and hand speed. Lands a good 4 to 5 punch combinations. That's kind of seamless for him. He's really, hides his fight-ending head and body kicks pretty well. But, again, man, he's getting close to that end zone, and his chin is super vulnerable at this point. I mean, Jalin Turner knocked him out in the first round. I mean, I just don't think the chin's there anymore. He's definitely got some defensive boxing vulnerability. When he's trapped in close range and pocket exchanges, his guard becomes less pronounced. It's a little, his hands start dropping a little bit, and he tends to retreat in straight lines rather than angle off. So I'm going to say Esteban Ribovix wins this one. I'm going to say it's going to be a first-round TKO. Our next fight is in the flyweight division. We have Charles Energy Johnson taking on Jose Ochoa. Johnson's your plus 320 dog, while Jose Ochoa is your minus 420 favorite. Johnson's 8-7 in the UFC. He's just coming off of a sub-loss to Azu Almabayev that happened back in June. I mean, what's not to love about Charles Energy Johnson? This is his 4th fight in 2026. The best ability is availability. If the UFC puts the bat signal in the air, Charles Johnson's coming to fight. I love it. Got a really solid boxing pedigree. 8 knockout wins, 3 submission wins. He's sitting at a clip of about a 58% finishing rate. Really good footwork. Uses timing and combinations really well. Not to mention distance control. I particularly like what stands out to me is his excellent late fight engine, is like kind of third round surges. They definitely bailed him out in a couple fights too, right? He starts super slow, but as the fight progresses on, he really keeps his opponent on the back foot, really keeps them guessing, and he looks like just as fresh as when he started the fight as well. Tactical switch stance, he starts off, he can kind of come from anywhere from orthodox to southpaw. Very hard to track, very hard to see, where the strikes are coming from, if they're coming from unorthodox angles. Not to mention, he throws a lot of volume of leg kicks, so if they keep coming from either leg, very hard to game plan for. Elite wrestlers, kind of his kryptonite, right? Against heavy chain wrestling guys like an Asu Amabayev, they can get him down to the ground with ease, okay? His takedown defense, it is pretty good at 66%, but it's definitely not at the elite level where, we saw Cody Durden take him down kind of all the time. That's what kind of proved his loss. His slow, like we said, he's got good third round surges, but again, like that kind of just takes away from the first couple rounds, right? And by that I mean like he kind of gives away round one so he can come in stronger, and that doesn't always look good for the judges, and could possibly lose a decision in that matter too, right? Very low offensive grappling threat. I think he averages less than one takedown per 15 minutes. He wants to keep the fight standing, which the good news is Jose Ochoa, welcome aboard. Jose Ochoa lives in that realm, so I think this is going to be a good standing battle. Ochoa is 2-2 in the UFC. He's coming off a good unanimous decision against Clayton Carpenter. That happened back in May. Ochoa's never been finished. His only two losses have been via decision, right? Very high volume combination striking guy. 87% of his finishes have come by knockout. 7 out of his 8 wins have come by strikes. I mean, he is not looking to play it safe at all. He is looking to take you out. Love it. And I think Charles Johnson's going to welcome the challenge. Very athletic scrambling and spring defense. By spring defense, I mean, it's hard to keep him on the ground. If you do get him there, he's popping right back up. He's averaging around a 65% defensive takedown rate. Has some front headlock submission threats. If opponents shoot lazy or they're desperate takedowns, he can snatch it up. I mean, he has that ability, okay? Like I said, both his UFC losses have come via decision. So, if guys can take him into deep waters and, his cardio is going to fade, it does not look, it really doesn't end up for him. So he's going to come out with that big surge in the first round. So Charles Energy Johnson, if he's not trying to finish him in the first round, hey, if I drag him onto the third round where I'm really, really strong, I could probably eke out a win, right? His over-aggression, Jose Ochoa, is kind of also his downfall as well. While he's very, very eager to get in there and just start trading leather with you, his accuracy sits at below 50%. It's right at 47% at this time. He throws these wild, looping-ass volume strikes to hurt you, but they're not always connecting. And he's got, vulnerability to elite grapplers as well. Charles Johnson's not going to try to do that. I can tell you that right now. I mean, we already said it. He's averaging less than one takedown for 15 minutes. So this fight's going to stay standing. I think it's going to end early in the first or mid-second. And I'm going to say Jose Ochoa, TKO, second round. And our next fight is in the middleweight division as we see Mansur Abdul-Malik take on Dustin Stoltzfus. Abdul-Malik is your minus 575 favorite, while Stoltzfus is your plus 425 underdog. Abdul-Malik is 3-1-1 in the UFC. He's just coming off of a TKO loss to Yusuri Belgori that happened back in March. The thing to note about Abdul-Malik, he's never been submitted, and that's kind of generally speaking to his, elite wrestling foundation. He was a state wrestling champion in Maryland, then went on to wrestle collegiately at the University of Maryland, College Park. We got to rep the home team, so shout out Terps. And if you guys look at it, he's got great takedown defense, good takedown ability, and just the physicality to handle bigger, stronger opponents, okay? I mean, he's definitely in the prospects for the middleweight division, top tier. We also got to talk about his genuine finishing instincts and power, right? Out of 9 finishes, he's got a 100% finish rate, right? We're talking 7 knockouts and 2 submissions. And out of the submissions, what I did really notice is he's got that dynamic guillotine choke, and that really showed me when he fought Antonio Trocoli, for instance. He did that standing guillotine. He tapped him out in 69 seconds, guys. I mean, that's not a guy who's, hey, I'm just getting into MMA. We'll see what's up. I mean, this guy can handle some business. The red flags for him, I guess, would be, when he fought Yusuri Belgori, I mean, there's levels to this stuff in terms of striking, right? I mean, there's striking like boxing. I'm just kind of getting my jabs off and my combinations, just trying to figuring out my footwork. And then there's glory kickboxing level striking, right? Yusuri Belgori was piecing up Abdul-Malik. I mean, Abdul-Malik's defense was sitting roughly at like 46%. And, toward the end of the fight, Abdul-Malik was just standing on weak legs until he got kneed in the head and just crumbled, But, he stood in there. He was tough, but, he was just getting pieced up. And then, he kind of has, some frailty under the fire when you saw him fight Nick Klein. Now, he won that fight against Nick Klein via TKO, but if you remember back in the first round, he got smoked flush in the head, and that kind of stumbled and woke him up a little bit. So he can definitely get hit, right? Toward the later rounds, if he's not finishing you, his, volume and accuracy does drop to around 44%, so it's above half. But again, he definitely can get hit, but sky's the limit in terms of being a prospect, right? We have not even begun to see the ceiling of Abdul-Malik. Now, Dustin Stoltzfus, on the other hand, he's 5-7. He's just coming off of a submission loss to Kevin Gastelum, and he's riding a 2-fight losing streak, right? The big thing about him is he's got a diverse, high-level submission game, very credited credentials. He's a black belt in Lucha Libre, purple belt in BJJ. 6 out of his 16 wins have come via submission. So, he's definitely not a fish out of water when it comes to hitting the ground. That he prefers the ground game over the striking. He definitely can strike. He's got some, proven finishing power. I think he beat Marc-Andre Barriault via knockout. He lands around a clip of 3 significant strikes per minute, and he's deceptively strong in the clinch. He's 6 foot, so when he generates strong leverage along the cage, he excels at like breaking opponents down via short strikes in the clinch and just utilizing deep grip strength to just lock up chokes. But the big thing, they're not doing him any favors when they're taking him against Mansour Abdul-Malik. His takedown accuracy is super low. I think he only averages 2 takedowns every 15 minutes. And he sits at, his accuracy for takedowns is 37%. So not even close to half the time is he getting a takedown, let alone going against a guy whose full acumen is being a collegiate wrestler, okay? He's got very limited knockout power. Out of the 16 wins he has, only 3 have come by knockout. He can finish you. He knocked out Marc-Andre Barriault, but again, I don't see that happening in this one. And then the last thing, big red flag for Stoltzfus, is he's got poor striking defense. That's no shit, right? His striking defense is right around 47%. So if I'm going to say this one, I think the odds are right on the money with this one. I'm going to say Mansour Abdul-Malik wins this one, and I'm thinking it's going to go out in the first round. I'm calling round 1 KO. And we've reached our co-main event in our first title fight of the night. We have Mackenzie Dern taking on Gillian Robertson for the Strawweight Championship. Mackenzie Dern is your -230 favorite, while Robertson is your +190 dog. Dern is 11-5 in the UFC. She's coming off unanimous decision win against Verona Jandiroba that happened back in March. She's never been submitted, and she's riding a 3-fight win streak. Guys, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know about Mackenzie Dern, but she's got one of the best, if not the best, women's BJJ resumes there is, right? We're talking about one of the, ADCC world champion, a no-gi world champion. She can seamlessly snatch out submissions from any position. That's why she has 8 of them to her credit, right? Whether it be arm bars or leg locks or rear naked chokes, anywhere you put her on the ground, she can find a finish for, right? And I'll give her credit. She came into the MMA game as a pure grappler, but her striking's really progressed. she's averaging more significant strikes now than Gillian Robertson is, right? She's averaging around 3 significant strikes per minute. And she's got that overhand, that sneaky overhand right that's going to, it's not fight altering by any means, but it's definitely going to keep their opponent guessing. It's going to set up the takedowns, but it's going to, hey, dude, where did this come from? She's got some power. The ironic thing with watching her fight is she has severe low takedown accuracy. I think it's sitting right at 18%. It's very hard for her to get her opponents down, even though that her bread and butter is submissions, right? Also, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. 0 knockout power for Mackenzie Dern, okay? She knows her strengths. Obviously, it's not in her striking. Across 16 professional fights, she has never finished anybody by strikes, okay? Very below average hand speed. When it comes to striking, it's really not polished. It's telegraphed. She lacks explosiveness, and it just, really makes it hard for her to close the distance. Gillian Robertson, on the other hand, she's 14-5 in the UFC, coming off unanimous decision win against Amanda Lemos, and she's riding a 5-fight win streak. Gillian Robertson, while not having the, credentials as Mackenzie Dern, she has an elite submission game as well. That's her defining trait. For her entire UFC career, she has 7 submission wins. The cool thing with her is she's evolved into a 2-way fighter. She can put you out via TKO, and we've seen that with Poliana Verana and Mariana Rodriguez, okay? she's got some strength in her hands, which I really think that's going to be the difference in this fight. She's vastly improved in her wrestling and chain wrestling takedowns. She's averaging around 2 takedowns a clip. So again, if she gets you along the fence, it's going to be some problems for Mackenzie Dern. Okay, especially with double legs or trips. Mackenzie Dern's in for a real long night if she can't, get herself off the cage. Her big thing, though, is, her defensive striking vulnerability. We've seen her, get pieced up a couple times. She's sitting right at 56% defensive rate. So she can get hit. It's, it's above average, but not the best in the world. And like I said before, her stand-up strike, I can't believe it, but Mackenzie Dern has more significant strikes than Gillian Robertson. Gillian Robertson's only having 2 significant strikes per minute. But they have what she lacks in numbers, she makes up for in power. Okay. She's kind of susceptible to sprawl and brawl fighters, meaning if she can't get you down and they stand on her feet, that's kind of really what slows her down a little bit. We saw her when she lost to Miranda Maverick. She struggled with her and Macy Barber. So guys, I'm going to go with the upset for this. I really think that Gillian Robertson has all the tools to beat Mackenzie Dern. I mean, I think she's just better at her in striking. It's going to be hard for Mackenzie Dern to get her to the ground. So I'm going to say Gillian Robertson, and I'm going to say it goes the distance. And new. And we are at the main event for the Welterweight Championship. We have Islam Makhachev taking on Ian Machado Garry. Makhachev is your minus 340 favorite, while Ian Machado Garry is your plus 270 underdog. Makhachev is coming off unanimous decision win against Jack Della Maddalena that happened last year in November. He's never been submitted, and he's riding a 16-fight win streak, guys. I mean, we're talking entering GOAT status here. I mean, he's among the most complete grapplers in MMA history. He pairs a world-class Sambo pedigree and with a great wrestling base that just smothers the fucking shit out of their opponent. I mean, it's high-pressure grappling approaches that really, rarely anybody can match. He's got 13 submission wins under his belt and just impenetrable top control and squeeze. I mean, once the fight hits the mat, again, he applies this crushing positional pressure that completely erases the opponent's ability to escape. I mean, it's so hard to get back to your feet if he's on top of you, okay? And we're not even talking about his defensive metrics either. I mean, listen to these numbers, okay? A 91% takedown defense. Okay, he absorbs only 1 significant strike per minute, and he's defensively 61% for his defensive ability. I mean, he knows exactly how to game plan and where to take the fight. I mean, he doesn't get hit. He knows where to apply damage. I mean, again, there's a reason why he's riding a 16-fight win streak. But there are some intangibles that we can't ignore, okay? Ian Machado Garry is almost 5 inches, taller than Islam Makhachev. Not to mention, I mean, he's sitting at 5'10", so he's undersized for the welterweight division. I mean, it didn't play a part when he fought Jack Della Maddalena. I mean, he completely neutralized Jack Della Maddalena. But again, Ian Machado Garry is a different story. All right? And if he can't get this fight to the ground, his low striking output really stands out to me. I mean, by that, I mean, he only averages 2 significant strikes per minute. So, again, if he can't get this fight to the ground, he is in for a long night for a guy who's a point fighter slash ultra jabber slash guy who does teeps a lot with Garry. Ian Garry, he's 10-1 in the UFC. He's just coming off that win against Bilal Muhammad. Ian Garry's never been finished. He's riding a 2-fight win streak. And like I said, Ian Garry, he's 6'3" with the 74-inch reach advantage. He's got world-class distance control, really good lateral movement, okay? Highly dangerous and a very long-range sniper, okay? His footwork is exceptional, to say the least. He stays on the outside, actively sliding away from danger while completely dictating the distance, okay? Very good, precise, confident, high-level striking, okay? He uses his frame to be patient. Very technical distance game, as we said before, okay? He doesn't like unnecessary exchanges in the pocket, where I don't really think Islam is going to give him that look anyway. I mean, the big thing for him is going to be his takedown defense, okay? His takedown defense right now sits at 80%. I mean, it's good, but there's Islam Makhachev good. Can you defend the takedown? That is everyone's biggest question going into this fight, okay? Now, he has been taken down by elite, relentless chain wrestlers. So we did see that against Shavkat, that was a very close fight. Shavkat did get some takedowns. Very low defensive head movement in exchanges, okay? When he throws these blitzing combinations, he sometimes keeps his chin straight and really up in the air, so he can get hit that way. And again, he kind of he really leverages this point fighting bullshit over finishing power. You know, he has 7 career knockout wins, but it's, you know, he's trending toward these like risk adverse fights where he's just in and out and just not really closing the distance. Personally, I don't think he has enough to get it done on Saturday. I think it's going to be kind of the same show and tell where Islam Makhachev is going to take him to the ground. Islam Makhachev is going to control the fight for 5 rounds. He's going to be very suffocating. I'm going to say Islam Makhachev still holds the welterweight championship. Islam Makhachev by decision. All right, guys, thanks for sticking with us. You know, the Stout Out Army continues to grow without a doubt. You know, last week we went 10-2. We're sitting at 65% for the year, and we're really sitting pretty, okay? I appreciate every like, comment, and subscription. If you want to go check out the merch, the link is in the description. And as always, boys, come for the picks, but stay for the parlays. All right, tell me how you guys work out on Saturday. Later.